In American politics, there are moments when a single bill stops being just a bill. It becomes a mirror, showing us who our leaders really are. A symbol of ambition, a symbol of betrayal, a symbol of a party at war with itself. Today, we're talking about Donald Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, a piece of legislation Trump promised would secure America's borders, protect jobs, and defend the homeland. Instead, it has sparked an all-out civil war inside the Republican Party and earned a new name, the Big Beautiful Betrayal. Because what's happening in Washington isn't business as usual. It's a political meltdown that could reshape Congress and rewrite the story of the modern Republican Party. Let's start at the beginning. For months, Trump and his Republican allies plotted this legislation in private. They called it a once-in-a-generation reform. They claimed it would balance the budget, end wasteful spending, and restore the spirit of the Reagan era. A smaller government, stronger military, and zero tolerance for what they called illegal freeloading. Their supporters on conservative media declared it the bill that would save America. But behind closed doors, many Republican lawmakers were sounding the alarm. They knew what the public didn't. This bill would strip away Medicaid benefits from millions of low-income Americans. It would slash funding for rural hospitals, especially in states that rely heavily on federal health care. And despite all the promises of fiscal discipline, it included massive new expenditures for defense contractors and corporate subsidies. Even senators who rarely criticized the party line felt compelled to speak out. Alaska's senator, usually a reliable Republican vote, issued a stark warning. I live up to that every single day. I fight for my state's interests, and I make sure Alaskans are understood. This bill introduces policies that only negatively impact working Americans. In other words, this wasn't a bold reform. It was a Trojan horse. These were not the words of someone celebrating. These were the words of someone bracing for impact. Despite these warnings, the bill continued its march through Congress. When it reached the Senate floor, the vote was deadlocked. 50 in favor, 50 opposed. It was a dramatic moment, one of those late-night sessions that remind us how much power a single vote can carry. Then came Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, once known as a critic of Trump, now a loyal foot soldier. With a single tie-breaking vote, he flipped the outcome. On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 50, the Senate being evenly divided. The Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill, as amended, is passed. Trump was ecstatic. He stood before cameras and beamed. Wow. Thank you. I'm waiting, listening to these wonderful words. They are music to my ears. He claimed it was a victory for every American who'd been ignored by Washington. He claimed history would remember this night as the start of a new era. But what he didn't say, what he didn't dare admit, was that the bill he was celebrating had changed. Because here's the hidden detail Trump didn't mention to his supporters. The Senate had added a raft of amendments to the bill. So many changes that it was now a completely different piece of legislation than what the House had approved. Under congressional rules, that meant the bill had to go back to the House of Representatives for reconsideration. This wasn't a formality. This was a minefield. As soon as the amended text became public, the backlash erupted. Democrats were furious, calling it an attack on healthcare and a gift to billionaires. Moderate Republicans were blindsided, realizing the amendments could devastate their districts. Democratic Senator Mark Warner took to social media and delivered a stinging rebuke. I'm tired of my Republican colleagues telling me in private how they feel about this terrible bill. It's time to vote like it. It was a direct challenge, calling out the cowardice of Republicans who complain in whispers but never have the courage to stand up to Trump in the daylight. But the most unexpected twist came from inside Trump's own camp. Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of his fiercest defenders, one of the loudest voices in the MAGA movement, stepped up to a microphone and torched the bill. We're taking Medicaid away from American citizens and maybe still paying for illegal aliens. I can't imagine they have the votes. There's no way Johnson has the votes in the House for this. Reporters were stunned. If even Marjorie Taylor Greene was willing to call it out publicly, the cracks inside the Republican coalition were no longer cracks. They were chasms. She didn't stop there. Pressed on whether the House could rubber stamp the Senate's changes in 24 hours, she snapped, "I just don't see how that's possible." I think it's far from over. It's a shush show.